Hey everybody! So I said that I would go live tonight, but it got to be a little late. So what I decided to do was still go forward baking my cake because I said I would teach everybody how to make one of my recipes that I do from scratch on how to make a cake. So this is my little friend. This is the Rockcrok that so many people love. It's the best thing in instant sliced bread. And it goes up to 752-degree heat. And I could use it on my grill, at my stovetop, and in my oven, under my broiler, in my microwave, in the cold, if I want to stick it in the fridge, in my dishwasher. I could use metal utensils. I mean, this thing is the bomb, people, okay? So I'm going to whip up a cake that I'm going to do from scratch, and then it can be cooked in the microwave in 10 minutes, okay? Now, I'm doing one from scratch, so I'm going to be using my eggs and my oil and my milk, but if you were to buy box cake mix, you would throw in a box of cake mix, 12 ounces of wine or 12 ounces of any soda, and pop in your microwave in this pan for 10 minutes. And you will have a cake completely finished and cooked. No eggs, no oil, no water. It's amazing bowls, okay? Now, some other things to know about this pan is that you literally can cook anything. Pasta, you could do potatoes, you could do any types of meats, desserts, omelets, cinnamon rolls. I mean, you get creative with this. You could do everything and anything in this. So I absolutely love and adore this pan. We have a very good relationship. And I also highly recommend, now this is my 4-quart Dutch oven. I do a full chicken even in this. Now I do recommend the 4-quart. The other two are good for side dishes, but I feel that this is the best for everything else. And then I also feel as though if you were to do the big one, the really large one, is a little bit too big, I think, okay? So you're going to go ahead. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with this. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to do 1 cup of sugar. And of course, I'm like, oh yeah, I have everything out. I'm looking, I'm going, I didn't even get a scraper over here. What am I thinking? What is my dealio? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do 1 cup of sugar. And these are the baking sets, so these are super duper fun. They're the measuring cups, and a lot of people, they're for kids, but I don't really care because I think they're awesome for adults also. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out 1 cup of sugar. All right, so we're going to do a cup of sugar. Throw that into my pan. We are going to do 1 3/4 of flour. So let me just put my sugar off to the side here. So let me get the flour. And these are obviously not Pampered Chef containers, so it doesn't mean you have to own everything Pampered Chef to be a consultant, but I do, most of my house is pretty much Pampered Chef. There's only a couple things that are not Pampered Chef items. All right, so I'm going to level off, so you always want to level off your flour. I always just use that. So it's going to be 1 3/4 cup of flour. So there's a 1/4. 2/4, 3/4. All right, so now we have our flour in. The next thing that we are going to add is, again, 3/4, but this time it's not going to be flour. This time you're going to do cocoa. Now I'm doing a chocolate cake. I do have vanilla recipes also, but of course I am a chocolate girl. Now, recently, I just got, on my doctor, I was having some health things going on, so I'm not allowed to eat as much chocolate. It is devastating, okay? I have a hiatal hernia and peptic ulcers. Whew, there was my cocoa all over my shirt. So I had to cut back a little bit on some of those things, which is just so hard, you know? A girl's best friend is chocolate. Am I wrong? I mean, really? Okay, so again, 3/4. So there's 1/4. I literally just inhaled the cocoa though. Like when I put it in, I could feel it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've definitely inhaled that bad boy. All right. So I'm at the end of my cocoa, but I wanted to try to use up. So that way, before I opened my new one, I was like, oh, I think I could get almost close to all of it, which I am. All right, so 3/4, and I do have a 3/4 measuring cup, but I got the kid set out because I just love that set. I just think it's so fun. So I'm going to put another one in of this. And then I have one more, but unfortunately I think I'm going to have to open the other cocoa. So give me 1 second here. All right. So cocoa, you want to make sure that if you're making anything with cocoa that you definitely add sugar, because cocoa by itself is not very tasty, let me tell you. I love chocolate, but when you do cocoa by itself, yeah, whole different dynamic without the sugar, people. All right, so we're gonna add that in. And let me just move that. The next thing, so I did sugar, I did flour, I did cocoa. We're gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder here that I have. So, and I'm actually, my other one is messy, so I'm just gonna use 3 of these for 1.5 teaspoons, because these are a half teaspoon. So there's 1, and there's my half. So there's my baking powder. And then of course it tells you, you know, a teaspoon of salt. So I just use my salt thing, my grinders. Super love these. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. All right. So then what I'm gonna do is just kind of stir and mix all of my dry ingredients together. And I'll show you guys this in just a second. So you're just gonna stir all these ingredients together. And it's kind of, once you mix it all together, you're gonna notice it kind of looks like if you were to take a box cake and you were gonna dump it all out. And this is what it would look like, because these are really the ingredients that they use to make box cake mix as well. So it's real simple, real easy. If you're ever looking to make scratch things and it's the first time you're ever doing it, don't be scared, don't be intimidated. Dive in and give it a whirl, because what is the worst thing that happens? It tastes terrible and you throw it out. Yes, it stinks to waste the money, but you want to experiment and try things, because that's how we get better in our kitchens, okay? There's no such thing as a perfect chef, okay? We learn as we go. Now, the next thing, I'm going to crack in 2 eggs. Let's grab our eggs out here. All right, so crack 2 eggs. Ooh, and of course, leave it to beaver here. I lost the shell. All right, so let me get them out of the way. So we are doing 2 eggs. And the next thing I'm gonna do is 1 cup of milk. So I'm gonna do a cup of milk. So let me grab the milk. Whole milk works good. If you try to do like a skim or an almond milk, the cake doesn't really, doesn't always come out the best. So if you're gonna make a cake and you're gonna have the calories, make sure you really do it up, okay? And then the last 2 things here, we're gonna add our half a cup of oil. So let me get my half a cup of oil in. I'll use one of our other measuring spoons. So half a cup of oil. And the last thing before the water, we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So I just always buy the generic vanilla. I know if you buy the real vanilla, it's like the real deal, but I don't buy that for everything. Like if I'm just doing quick baking to take somewhere, I just buy this kind. It's a little cheaper. All right, we used to have this amazing vanilla in the company. And I said that this is going to be, what did I say it was? 2 teaspoons. So let me grab our teaspoon. Oh, I think I just did 2 teaspoons. Do you see that? Ooh, I'm like the worst measurer in the world. You probably shouldn't even let me bake, because I always cook and I don't ever measure when I cook. But, well, with baking you have to measure. You can't just guess, right? All right, so now I'm gonna mix all this together, or start to mix it together. And there's one more ingredient that goes with this, okay? But you wanna mix this first. So you're gonna mix all your ingredients, and the very last thing that we actually add in is going to be water. But the water is not just any old water. It's actually boiling water. So it kind of just makes it a smoother cake, you know, really sets everything in, it just tastes better, just because it makes it so moist when you use the boiling water, okay? But I always mix all of my ingredients first, make sure everything's mixed and nothing lumpy. And then once you have everything mixed pretty good, then you're gonna add in that cup of boiling water. And already this is looking scrumptious. Let me show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so there's our chocolate cake mix. I mean, you can't go wrong with chocolate, right? I mean, who does not like chocolate? Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, because I actually have a girl that's one of my girlfriends, and she is allergic to chocolate. I'm like, that stinks, right? Okay. So now I've been boiling water over here on my stove while we were chatting. So you just take a cup of boiling water. All right. And I'm actually gonna set this off to the side for a minute, just because I wanna make sure that I don't burn myself there. And then you just add your cup of water in with this, all right? And then you stir, and that's what's gonna help to make it nice and creamy. And then when I cook it, it's going to make it taste absolutely scrumptious and good. So I'm just gonna mix this all in. And it does make it a little watery, so it is gonna be a thinner base cake. And that's okay, because it's still going to make a cake, so don't panic, all right? And you could use this for cupcakes as well. So even if you wanted to do this recipe with cupcakes, but it does get very thin, so don't think that you messed it up. It's okay if it gets thin. That's kind of how this recipe is. I just want to make sure I get it mixed good enough though. And then what's awesome about this recipe is I don't have to really think about this, because what's going to happen is this is going to go right into my microwave. I'm going to pop the lid on for the glass lid. I'm going to pop it into my microwave. In 10 minutes, I am going to have an amazing chocolate cake. So I will show you guys what it looks like then at the end, so that way you can see the final product. So thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I'm teaching you to make a chocolate cake from scratch. And like I said to you, remember, you could always buy just a box of Devil's chocolate cake mix and mix it with like a can of any soda or any 12 ounces of sweet wine and pop it in the microwave, and that'll be done too. So 2 ingredients versus all of this. It's up to you, but again, you have control of what you're putting in your body when you make something from scratch. Have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful week.